everyone. Just a heads up, this video touches on sensitive topics such as suicide in a reflective, therapeutic way. If that's something you're navigating, you're not alone. All links support resources below. Hey everybody, welcome back to the couch. I'm Caitlin Hill, licensed therapist and anime fan. Today, I'm watching A Silent Voice for the very first time, and I'm really excited and a little nervous to share my reactions with you. I've heard this story is beautifully emotional, tender, and hard hitting when it comes to mental health and healing. So, without further ado, grab your favorite cozy spot, maybe a cup of coffee or tea, and let's jump right in. We kind of see a lot right off the bat. Um, there are, a couple things to kind of touch on here. Um, One being, we can see him slowly organizing
Thank you so much
and
for everything,
preparing,
sweetie.
right?
I
Such
want to
as
close
kind
out
of
the account.
calculating the money and giving it and leaving that. Um,
For all of
Selling all of
this,
those
just
items.
30,000 sounded good.
It's one of those things to note is that a lot of people may still, I'll say, quote unquote, perform daily tasks, even when they have mentally given up. Um, Another thing, too, is silence, right? That can be a very powerful indicator of distress. It's something to actually kind of note, right? When somebody goes from kind of like a high sense of agitation and they're suddenly calm, right? We kind of, we would say we would worry that they've maybe reached a fatal resolve. Um, and also, too, just for a general note about things like suicide and suicidal ideation, usually it's not about death. Often it's about escape, right? Many people want some sort of relief, right? From relentless emotional pain. And what we are seeing here is somebody actions and thoughts they're wanting to slowly disappear quietly. And this very much mirrors how a lot of people feel in the real world and thinking things that the world would be better off without them.
We have a new student that'll be joining our class today.
Everybody's really curious about the new person. Well, she looks like she's kind of nervous, you know?
This is Shoko. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. She's getting something out of her backpack. Oh, okay, so she has to write to communicate to them. And I guess that when he taps her on the shoulder, um, that was her signal to introduce herself because she can't hear. There's a lot of curiosity behind this, right? But it's like it's lacking humanity in a sense, right? It's they're observing her, not necessarily with hostility, right? But it's also not seeing her in a completely human way. Um, the other thing too to note is how children are really highly influenced by adults, right? And in this case, the teacher has a great opportunity to be a model for them, um, for how to kind of show kindness um, towards Shoko, um, and kind of really lead that charge for them, so that it turns into just more compassion, right?
Yoo-hoo! Hey there, new girl. Do you know
Japanese. Come on, Naoka. That's not
Okay,
very
so we can
nice.
already see a little bit of, some kids like starting to pick on her a little bit because she can't hear, making jokes at her expense. Oh no, she's going before everybody.
Guess we won't be winning the choir contest. Say that again.
But then again, here's those little comments again, and as we see, we're slowly switching
You talk
into
so fast. I can't write everything down.
curiosity,
Well, I can
and
give
it's
you my
becoming
best
a
if you want.
more and
Or I
more
can read it.
hostile, right, towards Shoko.
Shoko,
Start reading from here. There was an awkward silence. His mother looked at him and waited. You gotta be kidding.
Oh wow.
that isn't funny.
So you can see these little comments are starting to build towards, like, they keep increasing, right? Um, and you know, when no boundaries are
No thanks.
enforced, this bullying behavior starts to escalate, right? And we can see, you know, even now, look, she's wanting to reach out to friends, and now it looks like they're ignoring her, right? So this mistreatment, everybody is getting the message. Both Shoko, her classmates, that mistreatment is tolerated, right? And so without any intervention, cruelty becomes normalized. This is not just a single incident, right? These are repeated verbal, physical, emotional, right? Violations. And this can create deep rooted trauma, right? And especially for kids so young, this could start to affect things like identity, her self worth, and even our ability to trust other people. Um, and this is the part that is really heartbreaking. Her silence is actually pain. Even her attempts to continue to reach out and smile, right? This is not acceptance, it's a survival tactic, right? And clinically, this kind of resembles a fawn response, right? A form of appeasement seen in trauma where individuals mask distress to reduce threat or rejection. Okay.
We'll see you tomorrow, Shoya.
Mm. So now he's getting treated just like how him and everybody else was treating Shoko.
If any of you have seen Shoko being harassed or abused at school, I need you to come forward and tell us who has been doing it. If no one comes forward, I'd hate to have to bring your parents into this.
Shoya, stand up. We all know that it's you. I told you to stand up!
Mm.
Yes, sir. He does tease her a little.
It's
But
interesting
makes
with
fun
the
of her.
teacher
And Kazuki?
jumping in to call
Yeah,
out
totally.
Shoya,
Kept telling him to knock it off. Sent to
and now
everyone.
everybody is
Wait,
using Shoya as a
that's not fair.
scapegoat, which is
And
actually
it's not
very
just the
common in
boys. The
group
girls were doing it
dynamics,
too.
right?
I swear,
Easier
it's
to have
true.
one person
Especially
becomes the
Naoka.
villain. So that's why now they are bullying him.
Shoya! I just got off the phone with the school. Wait a minute. Why are you so wet?
Shoya's mom seems like a good
Calm
influence,
down.
right?
We're going over to
Um,
Shoko's right now.
teaching the modeling, right? This is actually a good contrast between the teacher and Shoya's mom, right? Modeling morals and ethics to young kids, right? They need more of a structured guide like this. Okay, so we're back. I'm going to assume this is like the present timeline. Um, And now seeing the past compared to the present, it's giving us a little bit more context, right? More than likely, we can assume that Shoya feels guilt and shame, right? And they play a different role in healing. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am bad. Guilt can be a guide to repair, but shame tends to suffocate it. Oh, and now he's you see he went up to the sign language class and he's looking specifically for Shoko. And you can obviously tell, you know, she doesn't know what to do about this. Probably kind of scary
Where are
um,
you going? Wait,
to run into an old bully.
what's that? How do I know? Sign language? From a class. Here you go.
Oh, he's also
It's
been
yours.
studying sign language too.
I don't even know if you ever wanted to see this again.
Oh, wow. So he's returning the notebook.
Can me and you, Shoko, can we be friends?
Mm.
Is that an option?
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
what did I
Right.
just say?
So this is good to note, right? Repair starts with action, not perfection, right? We don't have to be eloquent to be honest. And you can see Shoya doing just that. And that notebook is a symbol not only of harm, but healing. And Shoya returning it is a way of saying, I remember that I hurt you. I want to try again. This is a very crucial moment of ownership, right? Without expecting immediate forgiveness. And also, too, it takes a lot of courage to face somebody that you've wronged. And seeing this shift in Shoya from avoidance to presence, this is actually a good first step towards true healing. A good thing to note here is that restorative connection doesn't require perfect words, just the willingness to show up, acknowledge the harm, and stay present through the discomfort.
Time for breakfast!
Good morning, Maria.
Shosha's
Oh,
awake!
look at that little girl. She's so cute. Also, his room is bare. I wonder if he sold like a lot of furniture too.
Out.
Oh gosh, she's so cute.
Bye bye, Mommy!
Have a good day, dear. And breakfast is served. I found this. You've been working so
Oh,
hard at your job. And you even sold your comics, your clothes, and your futon. But
he
tell
sold his
me,
futon.
Shirya,
I knew that room looked bare.
why would you want to kill yourself?
Okay, so mom picks up on it right away.
I
Like
just
she knows the signs.
been going through a lot of crazy stuff lately.
She just
Promise me you won't
she
go through
just
with it, or I'm
calls it out.
watching this.
I swear I won't do it. Please believe me.
Then I won't burn
Oh,
this.
oh
Oh my
gosh, she
god!
burned it on accident though.
Huh?
You can obviously see that she's angry, right? But really underneath, you can tell that she's hurt. Suicide doesn't end pain, it transfers it. And we can clearly see this in this scene with Shoya's mom, right? She now has to hold the weight that he tried to bury. And her confrontation, her tears, those are raw reminders that suicidality doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's a lot looking down at people's feet, and there's X's all over their faces too. Avoiding eye contact um, can be a trauma response, right? So Shoya's inability to meet others' eyes isn't rudeness, right? It's shame. Trauma can lead people to physically shrink from connection, especially when they feel undeserving of care. Also, self isolation becomes a survival strategy. He keeps others at a distance to feel safe, right? Loneliness for him is easier than rejection. So over time, isolation becomes both his comfort zone and his prison. And then, like we noted earlier, right? The X, um, that's a symbol for disconnection from humanity. It's a metaphor, right? A visual metaphor that reflects his internal world. He cuts himself off completely. Everybody else has become faceless, and it's not that he doesn't care; it's that he no longer believes that he belongs. So he's
Anybody
kind of
out there?
witnessing
Why won't anyone help me?
um somebody else being taken advantage of,
Just let go of the damn bike already!
Hey,
and
What?
this small
do
little
you
act of him
want to borrow
walking
mine?
up
It's over there.
again is a
Huh?
shift. Oh, look at
What the?
that!
Hey,
Look, he went to
you!
go get his
Over
bike.
here! Look, check it out! I found your bike! Man, it took me forever to find it.
It's nice to
Thank
see that
goodness I
kindness
did.
being
And I
reciprocated,
found you.
and this small act is the beginning
Is
of his
something wrong?
openness to
What?
connection.
Nothing. Shoya! Hey there, Shoya. Good morning.
Don't you love how persistent he
Morning.
is? It's kind of cute. This trust building up. Um, trust takes time. It's also a very vital part of repair.
Now you and I is friends. It can be as simple as that. See? Friendship don't gotta do with no rules or qualifications, 'cause it's about something deeper. A bond.
It's a
And you
good
just can't break
message.
that.
You can see process of Shoya slowly opening up to one person. And often healing starts with just one safe relationship, right? This can be the grounding force for recovery and restoring our belief in connection again.
The truth is, I wasn't sure if it was okay to come see you.
So we can
For
see
the past
Shoyo
2 weeks,
is
I've been
continuously
wondering
showing
whether
up,
you and I could be
and
considered.
also too he's taken a lot of effort to learn sign language.
And
And
finally,
sometimes,
I
even though he
found.
don't has the words, you know what I mean? His presence,
You look
gestures,
great,
his
Donna.
efforts, it
I'm
speaks
glad you did.
volumes.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
This scene is a good reminder for earlier when we talked about guilt and shame. This is a good example of how guilt can be a motivator for growth. Choya is channeling his remorse into action, and that shows us that feeling bad for past harm isn't enough. We also must act differently. And so, change, it's about choosing new patterns, right? Especially in how we show up for others that we've hurt. Okay, so we're seeing a little bit of probably the thing that led up to Yuzuru running away from home.
Besides, I'll feel bad for Shoko if you come back with a cold.
We're also seeing Shoya being persistent not only in his relationship with Shoko, but also now Yuzuru.
Seriously? Just who do you think you are? A
And we
secret
can see she's
agent?
got her guard up,
It's sad. It's true.
but
I guess I
he's
am
not
being a bit
stopping
selfish.
either. It looked like his moment of honesty was a little bit of a turning point for Yuzuru's perception of him. So I think she sees him as more genuine now.
I remember you. You're Shoko's ma.
Ooh. Oh wow.
Let's go.
So we kind of see
Ow! Mom, that hurts!
Kyoko and Yuzuru's mom
I'm sorry for what I
slap
did.
Shoya.
Yuzuru, sister that too.
She doesn't want the
I
family
can
to have
finally
anything to
hang
do
out
with
with on
him.
my own. Same with Shoko.
And yet, Yuzuru and Shoko are both pushing back on that. With the mom, that anger, usually it's displaced pain, right? Um, and blame is often easier than grief. You can see that blame can be a mask for sorrow that has nowhere else to land. And anger feels much more like something we have control over rather than grief. It feels more vulnerable.
Meow Meow Club, here we come.
But
Okay, so he's
Aurelio,
gone to where she works at.
An hour, I guess?
Also, again, good
Where
old
have I been?
Tomohiro
Oh, good. Right this way.
helping out.
Crap. He actually came.
I wouldn't exactly call this girl a friend.
You wouldn't?
A lot of stuff happened when we were in
Hmm.
6th grade.
It's looking like Joya and I think, how do you say her name? Is it Naoka? Noako? Yeah. Not sure how you say her name. In one lane, Shoya and Naoka, if I'm saying that correctly, um, kind of like what he said, friendship wounds can be very confusing. And thinking about reconciliation, that can be kind of scary, right? And it may not really feel safe for Shoya. And then with Shoko, we see a couple scenes with her at the doctor's office and something regarding her hearing aid. And I can't help but think this is some sort of pain revolving around maybe some sort of desires to be normal. And maybe this is really tied into her belief that in some way she's broken.
Uh huh. What's that? Something about these?
Some miscommunication going on, and I think this is tapping into some of her insecurities. Oh, wow. He's being
Did he
really
move?
brave right now. Oh, he's not understanding.
Well, where are you going?
I know that the miscommunication, right, and not fully understanding isn't intentional, right? But it definitely can trigger and reinforce trauma. Um, you know what I mean? It still hurts. Um, and also too, with her being more vulnerable, she's taking a risk, but without that validation, it can really deepen those feelings of isolation and shame. Um, and I think too, what this is reinforcing is probably her internal narrative, right? Um, that I am broken, right? These misunderstandings are seen more as her personal failure.
let's all go on the big one first. Now everyone stick together so we don't get
Why is she acting like
separated.
our chaperone or something?
Who knows?
Right, so we've got a big group at the amusement park,
Why is she
and
acting so chummy
huh,
with Shoko?
Naoka?
Nawaka,
Why is she here?
no, I feel like I'm saying her name
Is
wrong.
she like a friend or
Um,
something?
but she's shown
Yeah.
up here.
You know, when we were in elementary school, I was way too scared to ride this.
The roller coaster. It's actually a good um, metaphor for the ups and downs of healing, right?
I was
Just like
going
the
to wait
roller
until
coaster,
after
it's
the
not
wreck before I
linear.
left
There's
America.
highs and lows. There's fear, exhilaration,
Can't help feeling a little
and
scared,
accepting
though.
that unpredictability can reduce frustration and shame. Also, it can foster like shared connection. Um, being with others during vulnerable moments can really help build safety.
Oh
Um,
no! Poor
Also, facing
Shoko.
fear
My
builds
legs are
resilience
shaking
as
now.
well.
You okay?
Bravery to ride despite fear mirrors emotional courage.
What is this?
Uh,
Is it okay? Am I allowed to have this much fun?
you can see that numbness thawing, right? His walls coming down
Catch,
Oh
buddy.
yeah,
and
it
really
almost
feeling
feels
seen and validated by others.
like we're all friends.
And Naoka, you need to learn how to mind your own business.
Oh, so she brought him over to um, Hazuki, and you
Shoya,
can
where are
see
you
the X
going?
that is off of her face,
I'll text
but
you
it gets
later,
put
okay?
right back on there, right?
Okay.
The walls coming up again, um, kind of feeling ambushed,
I'm fine.
you know,
Yeah.
making it hard
I
to
just thought
trust, which
maybe
makes
you
sense
guys
why
could
the
be friends.
walls come back
You
up.
know, like you used to be.
And you can see that this is opening up a wound that he really wasn't ready for.
I did the
Um,
exact same thing.
this can kind of cause setbacks for our own healing.
You know, if Shoko hadn't shown up, we would all still be friends and be happy.
You don't know that.
Oh, come
Hmm.
on, just admit it. If it wasn't for her, things wouldn't have gotten all weird between
We
Miyoko
can
and me.
see Naoko using Shoko as an emotional scapegoat and also desires for things to go back to normal or how they were, right? This is kind
Shoya,
of
tell me the truth. Do you hate me?
avoidance of taking accountability and also some
Fine.
resistance
Time
or
for a ride on
discomfort
the
with
Ferris wheel.
change.
I'll
And
go
that
see if
can also
Shoko wants to
prevent
come with me.
growth. Now they're on the Ferris wheel together, and I don't see that going well.
I want you to listen to me carefully. I hate you.
Yep, I had a feeling. So, going from that passive aggressive to a more confrontational approach. So, we can obviously see that Noako is angry, and she's directing that towards Shoko. But it's important to remember that anger, a lot of times, is a mask for something, right? Anger usually is, I would call it kind of like a cover up for more sensitive emotions, right? And who knows exactly what the mask is for, in this case, for Naoko, right? But some common ones it can be for are things like sadness, hurt, envy, insecurity.
I really wanted to believe that you would actually change, Shoya. But you're still the same awful person you were in elementary
So we can
school!
see
Can we just please
Miki
calm down a second?
doing the same
Yes?
thing she
What's
did
going
when
on?
she was
Remember when they
younger.
told you Shoko was bullied? Well, it was
And
Shoya.
this
He
all
was the one who
signals to
used to
someone
bully her.
that their emotions aren't safe to express. And this in turn is going to reinforce shame and silence.
Yeah, I hate me too.
We see both Shoya and earlier we saw Choka have that outburst. I hate myself, right? Um, this isn't anger, right? It's really a plea for understanding and connection.
Just stop talking. You really love the sound of your own voice, don't you?
Listen, man, no matter what anyone says, I've got your back.
I
You
don't
know,
care.
when we
You just back
suppress
off. You
our
hardly
feelings
know
for
me.
so long, they do eventually erupt. And this is why letting yourself feel deeply while frightening is also essential for emotional health and also genuine connection.
Shoko said that I'll be miserable whenever I'm with her.
Choco's self worth is low, right? And that will limit her ability to authentically connect with other people. And that keeps her emotionally distant as well.
Hey, Shoko! Cool, I see you're
And then
supposed to
we
be
now
coming along with
see
us. Let's check out a movie.
Shoya masking
This is
pain.
hilarious.
His humor, that's
I
actually a
gotta
pretty
say, this is
common
the
coping
best summer break
strategy.
ever. Just
It's a
ask Yuzu.
defense to avoid vulnerability and
Seriously, we're
judgment.
having an absolute blast. What about tomorrow? We should go somewhere fun.
We're
And look
supposed to
at
be so
Shoko
pretty.
too.
Yuzuru.
You look
Her
great.
comments aren't matching up with her expressions, right? And so, more than likely, she's also masking her pain too. Authenticity requires courage. Showing your true self helps break down walls of loneliness and it builds trust.
Huh? Where are you going? To go study?
She says she's
Okay.
leaving to go
Wait,
study,
wait up. I'll walk you home.
which doesn't make any sense,
Why?
right? She's going off alone too.
Oh, well, see you later.
And we know that she's smiling, yet again, this is a mask for that
What
pain.
happened to Shoko?
So it would be
Oh, I
concerning for her
forgot
to
my
leave
camera.
so
Would you
abruptly on
mind
her
going back to
own.
our place to get it?
And I'm glad that he's going to that apartment because this would be a good
Come
moment to
in.
check in on somebody.
It's so dark. Hey, Shoko, you here? I should
And
make
he
sure
opens
it's
the
the light you
door and it's
arranged.
dark.
Shoko?
Oh, gosh. Oh, okay, good. Oh my gosh. Ooh.
Hey there.
This movie and the scenes in it are really good reminder that, recognizing the signs of crisis and responding with empathy and our presence can really make the difference between life and death.
Unforgivable, but I want you. Please forgive
Oh
me.
my.
If I had
Oh,
done
even
it to
Yuzuro
her,
too.
she
Oh,
wouldn't have. I'm so
oh
sorry.
gosh. This is tough to watch.
It's all my fault.
So much guilt. Wow.
I
For
thought if
such
she
a,
saw what
a
had
short
happened,
scene, it
she'd
was
stop
really,
saying
that's
she
really
wanted
big.
to kill herself.
There's a lot of grief
She
and
didn't know
pain that
what
you can see the
else to
family
do.
experiencing. Joko seems like she is overwhelmed and emotionally checked out. And Yuzuru, her desperation to protect was really rooted in fear, and that being the only thing she knew how to do to cope with the situation. She wants to restore,
I know life can be hard sometimes,
and she's going
but it's
around
not for
and
everyone.
she's actually
It
opening
is.
up to
You
people.
have to accept the bad parts of yourself with the good.
So you went to see everyone then, huh? That's awesome. But I'm not as brave as you.
Her opening up and is allowing her to be supported by those who care. And this is also her claiming agency in her healing journey.
You can change. Start now.
It's a good message, right?
It's not too late.
Change is always possible. It may not be linear, right? But it's always accessible at any stage. Oh, wow. It was like that cry just reached across time and space to
Yo,
connect with
Shoko.
him.
Yo.
Oh, so emotional. Gosh, I can only imagine. They're both probably just so grateful that each person is alive right now.
I never apologized
Mm.
for all the stuff I did to you
So
when
when
we
he
were
wakes
kids.
up too, he's moving
Or
forward with
any of the other
those
stuff my
promises he
parents
made
did.
to himself.
So I'm sorry.
Like when we say we're
The thing
sorry,
is,
we say
even though you were going through a lot,
exactly what
I
we're
was being
sorry for,
selfish
all the different
and
things.
focused on myself. More than anything, I wanted to have a conversation with you.
It's because I couldn't change, and that's why you fell. It's me. Everything is always my fault. So I thought
Both being very
you should
honest
just
and vulnerable
disappear.
right
I was
now.
so selfish.
I've thought about ending things, just like you did.
And he opens up too.
But then I realized something. Even though certain things can make life difficult sometimes,
This
that
is a
doesn't mean
really
they're worth dying over.
powerful
I
space,
want to
right,
apologize and make sure I do it
for
right.
healing and acceptance. And this has to be a continuous, right, practice of sharing and listening. It requires ongoing openness. It's a good reminder, right, that true connection grows when we let down our walls and we invite others to see our authentic selves.
Probably didn't know this, but I don't really fit in at school.
And here show you again being
It's because
continuing to
I
be
have
right,
trouble
open and
looking
honest.
people in the eye.
Shoya's back at school. Are you okay now?
You know what?
You can
I
tell he's
think
very
my
overwhelmed
stomach's acting up a bit.
with
So,
that scrutiny, right, from his class.
sorry. Oh, hey, that Unigatsuka.
You feeling okay?
And then here comes good old
Yeah,
Tomohiro,
sure.
right?
Good
That
morning,
constant
Unigatsuka. Good to
presence.
see you. So, how is everything?
Why won't you look at me?
I don't know. I
And he's
just
having trouble
feel
looking
weird.
him in the eye, too.
I made myself a promise I would look people in the eyes from now on. Guess I'm too chicken.
You're okay. I'm glad. Cause if you didn't wake up, I didn't know what I would do. Promise me,
Tomohiro's
I
such a
can't
good
lose
friend.
you.
It's gonna be okay. Thank you for being a friend. What's up with the facial hair?
That's my lucky stash. I swore I wasn't shaving it till you woke up.
You did that for me?
Did you bring the stuff to give to Shoya?
I brought them, but I can't give it to him. It's a total failure.
Don't be silly. Hand him over.
And you can see still, right, it's overwhelming for him to look people in the eye, yet it's okay, right? Change can be overwhelming and we can go slowly. It's okay if we aren't perfect at it, right? Continuing on with the intention is what's the most important. So we've also got to learn how to have patience with ourselves, right? Because that'll aid in our own recovery. And that requires self compassion.
Do you want to go together to the festival?
OMG,
We're
this is
starting to
so
hear
good.
things around him.
That's her over there. Yes. They made it to the
Oh, that's beautiful. And he's overwhelmed, right? That by that sense of connection, feeling seen. It's a beautiful experience, right? No matter what we feel, to feel is a beautiful thing. That's how we know we're alive. And all his friends' faces flashed there. And healing is strengthened by community. And community fosters meaning and hope. So no one heals alone. Nurturing connection is a powerful path towards recovery and peace. Silent Voice was a lot, but in the best kind of way. I was really moved by how raw and honest it is about struggles like bullying, loneliness, and the courage it takes to heal and forgive. If you connected with any part of today's video or want to share your thoughts and experiences, please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss the next session. Until then, rest easy, feel deeply, and take care of yourselves. Bye.